Alright guys, we are back with some more Monster Energy Supercross 25. Today I want to go over a handful of things that I think need to be addressed for either this game or future Monster Energy Supercross games by Milestone. Now this isn't the review will be coming a little bit later, but these were things that I probably will mention in the review, but I wanted to talk about them, elaborate more on them. So I wanted to do a separate video talking about it, and it won't have physics. Some people like them, some people don't. I'll talk about it in the review, but for this video, these are things that I think the game should have had addressed before it actually released. So yeah, let's just jump into it and check it out. First up would be multiplayer. So online multiplayer, I don't do a ton of it, but I have seen people complaining about it, and I would agree. So you go to the online hub, game mode, and you have unranked and private lobbies. Now, we know Milestone is going to be adding ranked lobbies in the future here. There might be some changes with it, but as of right now, there are no lobby lists to choose from. It's just a rotating playlist. I don't know what the timer starts at, but over 80 minutes, I mean, that's a really long time. I don't know why they would have removed the lobby lists to choose from. I mean, that was the best way to do it. It was what people liked that did a bunch of online racing, and I believe it needs to be brought back. Also, Race Director, I don't believe is in the game. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, but I couldn't find it. I know players that do a lot of league racing and stuff like that appreciated the Race Director, so don't remove features that players like and are using in the game. Keep them in the game. And also, viewing. As far as I can tell, you don't join a lobby and view the race that's happening, and then you get into the race when that one ends. You just sit here while it searches for a game, and then when it finds one that's starting from the very beginning, it joins you. So, I mean, that isn't a big deal, but I preferred it the way it was before, and I don't like it this way. So those are just a few of the things that I think Milestone needs to address with the online multiplayer. Number 2 would be customization. Now, the customization is very good, but also not good at the same time. The base customization isn't great, but my biggest problem with the customization and what I want to talk about in this video would be the progression system. So as you can see here, each OEM has a mini battle pass you have to do. Now, I don't believe you have to go to max level. You have to get to 14, 15 to unlock everything for that individual OEM, but the max level is 30. That is really slow. I prefer to gain credits, money, and then buy the OEM you want, and then buy the upgrades you want. Right now, it's locked behind a leveling system. Here, I want to show you that with the Yamaha, all I have is the exhaust and the brakes. Everything else is locked still. And while if all I was going to do was use one OEM, it probably wouldn't be a big deal. But I like switching around, jumping around between lots of different bikes. And then, you know, you don't even have access to the 250 or the 450 until you level up to 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. So I don't love the leveling system. And for the rider, that is a whole separate battle pass. Now, as long as you're playing the game, you're getting level experience, so you are leveling up as long as you're using your custom rider, but it goes to 270, nearly 300, the levels. So that's insane. That is insane. And I don't know if every box here has something in it, or if after a certain level you won't unlock anything. I mean, if every time you level you get stuff, I guess that's okay. But if it's like the bikes, even if it says there's a box there and there isn't anything, that would kind of suck, and there wouldn't really be much reason to level up past whatever level, you know, the rewards stop at. So also, I don't know if each, you know, if this is the same for everybody, because I did see somebody say they were a higher level than I was, but didn't have the Alpine Star boots. So I don't know if it's random or if it is the same for everybody. That's one thing I did want to mention. But in my opinion, it was better the way it was before. It wasn't broke, so it didn't need fixing. The currency was better, in my opinion. Also, tied into this would be name and number font for the rider. This isn't a big one. It isn't a huge deal to me. I don't really care that much, but we have basically had the same font for most all the games we've had where we can adjust the font, it has been pretty much the same. It doesn't bother me that much, and it is a minor thing. I wouldn't say this is a number one that Milestone needs to focus on, but the font for the name and rider, or the name and number for the rider, definitely could be improved. Number 3 would be the terrain deformation system. Here you can see I did a partial race and then went to photo mode just to show you the ruts. And while I do applaud Milestone for trying to implement terrain deformation in the game, this does feel predetermined. As far as I can tell, it is predetermined. I haven't done, a bunch of multiplayer racing and see if the track ruts up differently, but it does feel very predetermined. You would have the inside rut, the middle rut, and the far outside rut. And I know some people have said, yes, it really isn't even a rut. It's more of a berm, 3 little berms. It is terrain deformation, which is good to have in the game, but being predetermined, it needs to be better. It needs to be more tied to individual bikes and, the line you're taking. It would be nice to see something maybe more similar to MX versus ATV and how that terrain deformation, that dynamic terrain deformation works. Also, one of my biggest complaints with the terrain deformation is that on certain tracks, it's very, very hard to see it. There needs to be a darker tone of dirt, deeper in the rut, in the deformation, just so you can see what's going on. A lot of times I kind of skip over the ruts because I just can't see them. So the terrain deformation definitely needs some work, both for being able to see the ruts and how the deformation works, but I am happy to see Milestone at least trying here. Now, moving on to number 4, this we're going to talk about the camera. Mostly for third person, but a little bit for first person as well. So I've seen some people complaining and saying they don't like the camera, specifically in the corners, because the camera tries to rotate. And here I wanted to exaggerate a whip and show you, if you do that, the camera automatically tries to rotate with the bike. And I think that's part of the problem with the way the camera rotates in the corner, where it feels really weird and people don't like it. Now, I have a farther back, more pulled back field of view. In third person, I personally believe if you increase the field of view in third person, it's not quite as noticeable. But yeah, the moving camera definitely could be improved. And again, if you play with a very close field of view, it's going to be even more noticeable and be even more annoying. In my opinion, that definitely could get adjusted, even if it doesn't bother me, as much as other people. And then we do have the first person, and while the first person camera is okay, I know some people really like it, I do believe it needs to have a field of view slider to be able to increase or decrease the way you want. If you prefer to play this way and enjoy it, that's great. I don't. It's my opinion. And adding more customization, more player options is a good thing. It's a good thing to accommodate different play styles and the way people prefer to have the camera setup. I know Milestone has talked about it and said that it drastically changes the speed of the game and, the feel of it. And maybe that's why they're not doing it. But MX versus ATV has done it in a good way. Like MX bikes, there's plenty of games that give you the freedom to choose the way you want to have the camera set up for first person and made it work. I personally believe this is something that Milestone needs to take a look at and improve for future games. Number 5 is a short one relating to the tracks. The finishing the other 13 tracks, yes, is definitely something that needs to be addressed. The other 13 official tracks in the game, but here I wanted to show you this turn after the whoops from Daytona is all messed up. Yes, you can get around it, but if you try to counter the sticks the way the game wants you to play, the bike stands up and does some really weird stuff. And I personally do think that's due to the fact that they tried to raise the berms here at Daytona, and it just doesn't work great with the way the ground physics are. So finding a way to fix that and balance that for future changes they might do needs to happen. 100% needs to happen. Number 6. Can you guess what we're going to go over here? You guessed it. If you guessed rider model, you would be right. So I don't know what's going on here, and I didn't really notice it in the beginning, but people have started to mention it, and I would have to agree, the rider model needs work. It definitely could be slimmed down a bit. The rider model, as far as I can tell, is the same, for pretty much everybody in the game, minus the faces for the pro riders. The rider model needs to be slimmed down, but the biggest thing, I think, is that the gear is like really loose and baggy. The way the jersey folds over the waist of the pants, it kind of reminds me of back in the day, guys would tuck in their polo shirts and then pull them up a little bit so it would fold over the waistband. It's so weird. And I don't know why Milestone chose to go this route, but it definitely needs to be adjusted. If nothing else, they need to make the gear more snug and firm fitting on the rider, but then also again, slim the rider down a little bit. So the rider model definitely could use some work. It has been better in most every Supercross game before this one. Now, moving on to number 7, I'm not going to spend much time on this because we did make an entire video for it, but the track editor. It is, in my opinion, the worst track editor we've had. We have less stadiums, we have less options. Yes, maybe I did miss a few things in the video I did, but we still have less options, virtually no new options, and the corners, the bowl turns, the bank corners are really, really bad. It says we have bank corners, but they're flat. I don't know where all the bowl turns, the 180 bowl turns are. It's crazy that they would put out a track editor without it. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to spend a bunch of time on it, but the track editor definitely needs to be improved. I don't love the UI. I think the menus here feel really weird and unintuitive. Overall, the track editor needs to be better. If not for this game, for a future Milestone Supercross game. And to wrap it up, we have number 8. In my opinion, one of the things that annoys me the most, which would be animations. I have a bunch of them I want to go over. So here you can see the leg off the foot pegs annoys me. Yes, if you overjump or case real bad, having an animation is fine, but the leg coming off the foot pegs, it comes off almost every jump. Whether you hit it just right or, a slight overjump, it comes off all the time. And it's so annoying. The other animations for a rough landing, I guess I'm okay with because they don't happen as often. But the leg off the foot pegs has got to go. It is so annoying to see that, even if you hit a rhythm section just right. And on the outdoor tracks, it's actually even worse because the outdoor tracks, they're huge jumps. So even if you hit the jump just right, the leg will come off because the game thinks it's a rough landing or whatever. So for the outdoor tracks, it's even worse than it is, for the Supercross track. So rough landing animation, specifically for the leg coming off, in my opinion, needs to be toned way back. I mean, it can be there, but they got to tone that way, 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 way back. Now, sticking with the animations, the scrub animation, in my opinion, is one of my least favorite things in the game. I don't scrub in the game is simply because I don't like the way it looks. I'm not scrubbing because of how much I dislike the scrub animation. Now, I tried to decide because sometimes it looks better than others, but most of the time it doesn't look good in my opinion. And I was trying to figure out what it was about that animation that I don't like, and I slowed it down and watched it a bunch, and I think my biggest problem isn't the start. So you throw the stick sideways off a jump, and when the rider will throw the bike out to start the scrub, I think we're okay there for the most part. But when you stop and when you try to bring it back, the way the rider positions themselves on the bike doesn't feel right. It doesn't look good. It doesn't feel realistic. It just isn't good. The arms can get really straight. The upper body gets really weird in general. The rider will a lot of times try to throw his hips in the opposite direction. It's just really weird. It's really weird, and it just doesn't make the scrub feel good or look good, in my opinion. If you disagree with it, please let me know in the comments without blowing up and getting mad and raging about it. Why do you disagree with me? What about the scrub animation, in your opinion, is good? But in my opinion, this is the worst animation in the game and needs to be addressed immediately to improve it. It just doesn't. I refuse to scrub in the game if it's going to continue to look that way. Regular whip, the moving the rider around, free moving them isn't so bad. It could be better, of course, but it isn't so bad, and it doesn't bother me near as much as opposed to the scrub. The scrub is just not good, in my opinion, and definitely needs to be reanimated. So there you have it, my top 8 things that I think need to be addressed immediately in Supercross 25. Now, do I think all of this stuff will get patched for this game? No, not at all. Do I think any of it will? I think some of it might. Maybe the online multiplayer, some of that stuff might get fixed. But as far as animations go, considering that's what bothers me the most, I doubt any of that stuff will get addressed. It might for a future game. If Milestone decides to do a future Supercross game, maybe some of this stuff can get fixed for that, but probably not for this one. So I'd be really curious to see what your guys' top list of things that need to be addressed would be. I know for the people that don't like the physics, that would probably be number 1 for you, right? The inner physics, the ground physics, probably the online multiplayer is universally disliked, and the progression for the customization, I would say a bunch of people probably don't, like that either. But I would be really curious to know what most people's number 1, number 2, number 3, maybe top 5 things that need to be addressed by Milestone would be. So let me know in the comments. I'd be really curious to see. But you guys and girls are absolutely amazing. Thanks so much for the support on the channel lately. It really does mean a lot. And until the next video, take it easy.